I feel like a crazy person.
Why?
Because everything I scroll through, everyone's like, wow, Loki, so many tears, so many emotions. Wow, best character ever. That finale, though. Wow, my mind is
This
blown.
goes hard.
Yeah, people that I even respect and like agree with on everything else, suddenly I'm like, oh, I'm a crazy person. Loki season 2's bad. Like, not everything about it is bad, but overall, I would not want to watch this again. I liked season 1. I'd watch season 1 again.
Yes.
Would you watch season 1 again?
I'd watch season 1 again. Would you watch season 1 again?
Would you watch season 2 again?
No.
Tell me about why.
Loki season 2 is a troublesome little devil. Because I feel like they had all the ingredients to make this beautiful thing. It had really good elements.
It did,
and
yeah.
it had the ability to be something excellent.
I think episode 1 did start strong. Like, I was pretty keen on episode 1 up until they cured his time skipping immediately.
Yeah.
Like, even season 1, I liked season 1 more the second time I watched it. So maybe when I rewatch this, I'll like this more.
Maybe
Probably
you don't
not,
like
though.
circles. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't have a problem with this season. Like, I'm not going to say it's bad, because I've seen bad things. It failed to live up to my expectations as a nobody on the internet.
I think,
You know?
it's a different creative team from season 1. So it's a different lead writer, even though he claims he did a bunch of work on the first one, but there's a bunch of other different people.
Yeah.
And I think it shows because it seems like they spent the first 3 episodes dismantling what they did in season 1. It's kind of like when you watched episode 8, Star Wars, Last Jedi, and you got to the end of it. So you were like, shit, where do they even go for episode 9?
Yeah.
And turns out just dog shit. That's what they do.
That's what I felt with every episode of this season.
Yeah, when they were like, oh, we reset time. And then the next episode, they would solve that problem in 20 minutes and then just reset time again.
It's weird. It's weird how many times we would be watching this and be like, but couldn't this just be fixed with time travel?
Yeah.
Like,
the
couldn't this just be fixed with this?
most annoying thing that happens very shortly into the episode. So we'll get into the actual episode.
Episode starts with the end of the last episode. Literally, we're starting off. We're going into the temporal chamber.
They're trying to solve the problem with the loom being too small by growing the loom by shooting a thing at it. Fun. But then they do it and Timely dies, everything explodes. And then Loki's like, damn, Obi, what could we have done better? Because he's from the future now. He's back. He's trying round 2. Obi's like, we have to do it faster.
Yeah, he's like, we just ran out of time.
Immediate problem, red flag for me. Victor Timely has to walk across a giant gangway to get to the other side.
I was
He
just thinking
evaporated at
this.
the door.
Yeah.
And Loki's like, all right, if I explain it quicker.
If I save us 30 seconds,
Not even that. He saves like 10 tops.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like that's his
I
idea.
was just thinking,
He's like, I'll save seconds.
what if instead of a big gangway, they built the thing on like the back of the big door so they could just type it in and plug stuff into it and it would just shoot?
They're shooting it anyway. Like
Yeah.
they have to shoot it like
But okay,
100
Obi.
kilometers. But they're like, yeah, let's build it on this gangway with no tunnel. Obviously, the building can withstand the radiation, but they're like, no, gangway. Because when I build it in the model, it looks really cool.
Yeah.
And it
no,
did
it needs
look really
to have
cool.
a long walk that people can die on. Just
But
like,
no, 100%. Like,
no.
yeah, so second dumb thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, I'll save 10 seconds. And then it fails again. He's like, no, we have to go quicker. And then they show us kind of a montage of him trying multiple times to get it done quicker. It fails every time, obviously, because stupid plan.
Well, you can't have the bad guy be 100%
Yeah, it's like
competent.
his hubris is why he usually loses.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, he's now the good guy, so they can't make him lose. So he just resets. But he doesn't try anything except explaining it quicker for ages. So Victor Timely goes and dies, which isn't that kind of the same as pruning?
Loki decides that he can't save seconds. He needs to save moments.
And I thought they had put like a little level cap on it, as in like he can only go back to that position because that's when the last moment was or something.
Yeah.
But then he just decides to go back further.
No, he can go back to any point in his time that he's lived.
Like I thought maybe they had set a time cap because like you have to put limits on time travel or it gets out of hand so fucking quickly. Endgame even knew that. Infinity War, they banned them. They were like, no, you can't go outside of your own timeline. They put a bunch of rules in place to make sure that they couldn't solve anything in the future with time travel. So he should only be able to go back to a certain point, otherwise it's going to get out of hand. But then he just goes back, like 20 minutes earlier? And then tries that for a while. That fails too. And then instead of going back to whenever, like the beginning, when he met Mobius to start with, or like once Mobius had become friends, before the loom was about to explode, before all the timelines, He just goes back like a day and talks to Miss Minutes about trying to fix it, and that fails because it's a gag.
Yeah, he should really go to like season 1 episode like 3.
Yeah.
When like him and Mobius were like teaming up.
Yep. And then that fails, obviously.
What I don't understand is they live in a universe, at least the TVA.
They're called the Time Variance Authority.
They have an idea or a concept of time travel. They know that
they invented
people can travel through time. What I don't understand is Loki skips back and doesn't just go, guys, I just time skipped from the future.
That's true. They even know what time skipping is.
Obi knows what it is. Say, I've just time skipped to a different reality. I learned this stuff. You guys just need to listen to me. And I'm sure they would all be, because that's how the characters have been, they would be like, okay, what do you need?
But it's funny when they're just like, why are you acting so strange? When
That's a bit strange.
When he's all like, Harry Potter, Felix Felicius, and everyone's like, you're acting a bit weird, Loki.
They literally cut to like Mobius and Sylvie being like,
yeah, I'll pop a few clips in because it's stupid.
It's a few times.
Yeah.
But none of them say it until the very last time where Mobius is like, no, you're being stupid. But then just keeps letting him do it anyway.
Yep.
He's like, no, I know what I'm doing. If he just time skip back to, let's just say...
Sorry, does he ever tell them?
No. Because his plan that like works kind of is he goes back to when they first introduced OB and Victor Timely. And he's like, look, what if I just make this more efficient? It's not. He goes back again and he goes, look, what if we make me more efficient as well? And then
the line is, how long would it take me to learn everything you know about engineering? And they're like, 10 years?
Yeah.
A century? And then they just like hard cut and it says centuries later.
I understand. Look, I know and I understand and I know and I understand. But you have to understand, Loki spent centuries reliving just potentially that one day of building, because time doesn't exist here, kind of.
Doesn't, yeah,
it's only a few other hours or days of time, and he's spending centuries.
Okay, you said everything resets, but your memory, right?
Yeah.
All right, well then you're just gonna have to be a living record.
But only in that one bit of time. At least that's what it feels like it's alluding to me.
I think they could have done they should have done centuries later, ... for Loki or something.
Yeah.
But like, that's implied, I guess, so whatever.
He becomes the smartest man in the universe ever.
Yeah, so he learns everything / more than everything about science and engineering. And my point that fucking annoyed the shit out of me was about 3 minutes into the episode, 3 minutes into last episode maybe, they were talking about, we have to expand the capacity of the loom so that it can take on the infinite timelines. I'm like, how do you expand for infinity? Like, like you can't do that. That's not how basic my level math works.
Yeah.
So I assume at
I'm
higher
sure
level,
in quantum physics,
they're probably still
infinity is a pretty scary number.
it's probably worse. Like,
once you understand, really.
Once you have a concept of infinity, it's probably more like, oh no, we're actually fucked.
Yeah, like when you get to like Joe Rogan
DMT
DMT levels of like trying to understand what infinity is. Yeah, how they thought that like just like doubling the size of the ring.
Yeah, they're like, it'll expand the capacity. And then again, when we were watching this episode, I was like, how do you expand for infinity? And then they finally get it working after centuries of knowledge and Loki making it more efficient, Loki becoming a genius. Yeah, he could probably kick the shit out of any variant of Kang. But
no, because Sylvie still whoops his ass.
Very true. He can control time and she still kicks the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Then they finally succeed. Everything goes according to plan.
Loom will never be able to accommodate for an infinitely growing multiverse. You can't scale for infinite.
That's why I'm so angry, because I thought of the infinity thing before the characters did. And it's not like it's not like a bomb under the chair. I know about it, but none of the characters do. So when they find out, I feel really clever or like a video game or anything.
This is supposed to be their wheelhouse.
These are the dumbest people imaginable. And they're meant to be the smartest. And it feels like the writer didn't think anyone would notice. Like, he thought he was clever. He's like, haha, infinity. But, like, it feels too dumb. Just annoyed the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Like, and that does suck a lot of my enjoyment out. Like, Tom Hiddleston is still fantastic. Everyone kind of gets sidelined just for him because it's a very him-centric episode.
But he is really good in this episode.
Him in general is really good.
We're not hating on Tom.
I still don't feel like I still don't think he's Loki since like season 1, episode 3.
But he's a great actor.
He's, like you said, Johnny TVA or something. Like, he's Mr. TVA. the goodest of good guys. He hasn't even had a bad thought or a mischievous thought.
Oh, a little bit in this season when he wants to torture Brad a little bit.
No, that was a ruse. And that's why it was so obvious that it was a ruse, because he's Mr. TVA. He's the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
His one goal is to save the TVA, not the universe, weirdly, for a while there, but then also
But it's
suddenly
like,
the
if
universe.
I save the TVA, I'll save the universe by association.
Yeah, and
you know?
then Sylvie's like, maybe you just want friends. And he's like, damn, I do just want to be friends with this jet ski guy that I've met for 10 minutes.
Yeah. It's like, hey, what about all the people you spent thousands of years with on Asgard? It's like, you don't
Yeah.
think he had a little bit of a connection
But
with
nah,
them?
friends with Jet Ski Man and all of these people that were murdering hundreds of people, hundreds
Babies,
of thousands
millions
of
of
people
babies.
for their living. And then one day we're like, those are people.
Those are people.
Insanity.
Also, how does the show never entertain the idea of Loki going to a reality where his mum wasn't killed? Or one where he made better choices? Or one where he succeeded and was king of Asgard or Earth? So many interesting ideas for a show.
I think that's probably my main problem. I think if the time travel and science fiction-y bits of this show were written better,
Yeah.
maybe I'd like it. There's still a lot of character stuff that I think is pretty dumb and pointless. But like, I think a lot of my enjoyment is sucked out by the time travel for dummies. Like, makes no sense a lot of the time. Like, sometimes he appears in his own body, other times he appears beside his own body.
I think it's really just they wrote a story and they're like, let's use time travel to make this fun. But it's like they don't want to make rules for it. They're just like, we'll use it as a device.
I think they were also very limited by what they could do because Marvel decided Kang might not be the Conqueror. So just like last episode, they solved everyone's problem in 20 minutes because time travel easy, I guess. But what do they do for the other 20 minutes? Is it characters?
So Loki realizes that, look, we're doomed regardless of what we do to try and save the loom. There's no chance. I have to go back, and he has to stop Sylvie from killing the one who remains. So he's like, I got to stop Sylvie. And it's like, but no, you remember season 1, episode 6, Sylvie. She was crazy.
She was girl boss.
She had no mullet. So she's just like, he's constantly going through a loop of like, how can I try and stop Sylvie? But no matter what he does, even though he's centuries older at this point, centuries wiser and smarter, one, he can't beat her in combat, and
I
two,
guess his body doesn't age anymore.
he can't. Well, he's a god. You have to think.
Asgardians do age though.
But he's a god.
He's a god.
He's a god.
Yeah, I forgot about double
So,
god. My bad.
Double god. Triple god now, technically.
Oh, shit, he is triple god now. Yeah.
Yeah, he can't outsmart her, even though he's billions of centuries older than her, however long, whatever.
And knows exactly what she's going to do.
Yep.
In the way that he who
He's
remains
and he's
did.
already lived this. So
Yeah, he's doing
and
the
he
same
can
thing.
keep reliving it. He should be able to Groundhog's Day his way out of this. If he put more time into learning physics and engineering than solving this problem.
Then dealing with it, men will literally go back in time rather than go to therapy.
Literally.
My other gripe with this scene was she kicks him through a time door during the fight originally. He never tries kicking her through a time door. If he kicks her through a time door, she can't get back to
Yeah,
the
she
end of
doesn't
time.
have a temp pad.
Yeah,
she gets
she has
this
no
one.
temp pad, and she couldn't prune herself if no one's around. So he could have the multiversal craziness going on, and the TVA just doesn't exist or like doesn't care, and she can just live outside there. Or he can take away free will, as she calls it, even though it's kind of just like one timeline. You could make it not free will and just like prune at random.
Yeah.
That's kind of free will. That's a little bit Thanos. Like,
We're killing people at random.
yeah, like that's fair. That's fair, baby.
Bang.
If he kicks her through the door, she can just live out her life on the sacred timeline. She'll be probably annoyed for a while. But
Yeah.
she's a god. She'll never die. She can go hang out at Macca's.
True.
She can fall in love. She can have a family. She can not have a family. She can go traveling to not apocalypses.
Yes.
She can go sit on a hill and eat grapes.
I lived in apocalypses.
I grew up in apocalypses, Loki.
All he has to do is get her out of this place, and she's sorted. And then
She
he doesn't
can't
have
get
to.
back.
He doesn't have to worry about stabbing
Yeah.
her. Yeah, because that's the two options she gives. She says, "You can take away free will, or you can kill me." And it's like you could just.
I thought he was going to kill her, to be honest. I thought that was going to be his ultimate thing. Because, like, season 1, he finally met someone who he's kind of connecting with, who, like, can speak through to him. He's changing. He's also kind of in love with them.
It's like they still get away with most of it because he loses everyone at the end. But spoilers.
But anyway, what did you think of Jonathan Majors / The One Who Remains season 2 character.
Oh, yeah, I
because
agree.
he is a bit different.
They
Because
defi-
again, you're asking someone to play a character who they played like 3 years ago.
Yeah, you are right. They took
kinda liked
took
him.
feedback. Yeah, they took the
kinda
feedback
liked
of,
him.
oh, no one liked your character. Can you calm the fuck down, please? Maybe it was
I
reshoots.
enjoyed his
I don't know.
acting. He's good. You
Well,
can't
he's a good
take that
actor,
away from
sure.
Jonathan Majors. That's what my one thing about Quantumania was.
Yeah,
He can act. Okay.
well, yeah, he's a good actor.
I
It's
know
just
about the news stories.
he chooses dumb character. He makes dumb character choices, like making Victor Timely a stuttery mess.
But he makes fun of
making
that
this
here.
guy a crazy person. Yeah, it seems like they kind of scale it back, and they're like, oh, he was tricking you the whole time. But it's like, but why would he just let himself be killed then?
he he Professor Quirrells himself. He's like, poor Professor Quirrell.
Yeah, like
he
that
like
would-
makes fun of himself, kind of. You know,
And
which
it's
is
like
funny.
it seems like he does know what was going to happen, because at one point in the original he's like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen anymore, and then in this he's like, I knew all along.
He's like, how many times have we had this conversation, Loki?
yeah,
It's like,
and it's like, oh, you can't pause time like me? I'm the original time skipper. But no, you're right. He's way better in this. He's much more menacing. But
he seems like a villain who knows everything now. Whereas before it was almost like he was just like a weird asshole who knew
Yeah.
everything. But this one, he's menacing. You're
Yeah.
like, oh. But anyway, he can't stop Sylvie. He can't convince the one who remains to, like, I guess, throw him a bone and tell him how to fix stuff.
yeah, he's being a bit of a jerk about it. But then we discovered they're both time skippers, and they can pause time as well now. Like they're god.
And they can also erase timelines too, at will.
Yeah, like possibly doesn't need to prune things, because he
Well, Loki, remember, he jumps back to episode 5.
yeah, and then he starts deleting people. Maybe like they don't like say it, but he's kind of talking about like, oh, I'm in control.
He can erase and bring back. And I think he says to Sylvie when he goes to episode 5, he's like, I've learned to control the timelines or something.
Yeah,
Or control time. Or
he's-
control it.
He has every power imaginable. Like he's already gained telekinesis. There's time, but
Time?
this whole scene, it's like, sure, it's two good characters bouncing off each other. They're going at it. They're both very witty. Got some good repartee. But there's so many other ways out of this problem because of things they've already set up.
Yeah. He says that the loom works perfectly. It's like a contingency.
Oh yes, it's got a failsafe that if
It'll always
if it explodes,
delete stuff
it
into the
deletes
sacred time.
everything
Yeah.
except the sacred timeline, and then the TVA is just collateral damage.
Yeah.
But a wonderful reason why that doesn't make sense is if it deletes everything except the sacred timeline,
Why did it need to exist in the first place?
but then because it no longer exists after that point, more timelines will just spread.
Yeah.
Like they've proved that if they don't prune timelines, they'll grow. So they're already deleting timelines, and more just keep growing back that they always have to delete. So if you blow up the loom and that deletes every timeline, it's going to keep making more after. And then you've just got
They
no loom,
can't
no
grow from then
TVA.
on. Or something.
Exactly. A lot of it's or something.
Think
or
about
just
all the
like,
jobs.
nah.
Think about all the jobs that Kang created.
We got to keep all the people in the jobs.
Yes.
Kang's a good guy.
He's literally Hitler.
jobs, and,
1940.
jobs and growth.
Hey, the trains always run on time in 1945 TVA. You know what I mean?
TVA jobs, timeline growth. That is
Yes.
what Kang delivers. Vote now.
Vote now. So Loki decides that well, it's better that I do it than you do it, and so he doesn't really wrap things up with his friends. That
Correct.
might have been nice. He wraps things up with Mobius. He goes back and he's like, you find out a bit about Mobius, which is nice.
Oh, you find out more about this about Mobius
I
in
kind
that
of would have
one
liked that
scene.
in season 1.
You find out more about Mobius in that scene than you do in the real timeline with Mobius, where he's like, I love jet skis and my wife was maybe blipped.
Come on, boys. Come on, boys.
Come on, maybe Loki
Get your
and
brother.
Thor.
But yeah, you find out that like he hesitated once and it caused a bunch of extra people to die. And
Yeah.
that's why Renslayer she got promoted and he just kind of,
And this is stuff about this
Hung around.
Mobius that we know and we care about, not
Yeah.
stuff about a random Mobius that then got his mind wiped and
Yeah.
became someone completely different. This is good. That was bad.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm glad they at least did that. That was nice. But they could have easily done that either the whole time, or like maybe jet ski Mobius went through the exact same thing, or like he hesitated.
yeah.
They would have to change a lot of shit to make that happen. Like you can't hesitate in your job at a jet ski thing that gets people killed. But maybe if you always hesitated and then he brings up like, oh, that's why, you're like, oh.
Yeah. But then like the episode just kind of, I don't know. It wraps up kind of quick. So then Loki, you know, he kind of says goodbye to Mobius in his own way, and he's like, he thanks him, and then erases him from time in that timeline.
Yep.
And then he goes back to Time Prime, where we started the episode.
If he deletes that timeline,
Mobius wouldn't exist in this one.
how is there a future timeline? Unless this is a branch.
We never
which
saw Mobius there.
But
maybe.
unless this is a branch, which means this doesn't matter. I think they thought the effect was really cool, and they're like, let's just spaghetti fucking everything, bro.
Yeah.
VFX artists are underpaid, working overtime. Like, stop it.
They're like the execs like, it's just a button, right? You just press a button and it spaghettis everything.
Spaghettify button.
Meanwhile, people are like fucking
it probably could
rendering
be.
individual
I
spaghettis.
wonder if it could be. I wonder if it is a simulation.
The Disney machine.
VFX React artists, react that, please.
Anyway, so Loki decides, hey, look, the only way that this is going to be fixed is if I take it into my own hands.
And he does something that possibly He Who Remains could have done the whole time.
Or that he could have done the whole time.
I think only with his new superpowers.
Yeah,
But
because
he-
like maybe he's constantly timing his body 1 second before it started evaporating.
But how does he know? This is where it got so ridiculous for me. And everyone's probably like,
Why didn't he just freeze time and then walk to the gangway?
Oh, God, he would have frozen all the goddamn
Radiation?
Shit. Fuck.
But no, stop it. Rebirth.
The music was swelling. Everyone was emotional.
The episode comes back to the start, if
I
you
was,
think
I was
about
the
it.
only one that could see through the tears. I see through the tears of the Loki.
So Loki sheds his new, new persona of TVA, Johnny TVA, and he becomes Loki again, you know?
He gets his classic, I think it's the classic costume.
the classic costume, that's what people are calling it. And he gets bigger horns than he used to have, and they're more, they're not as like just gold and shiny,
Yeah.
you know?
And
It's
everyone's like, he earned this transformation.
He earned it. And so he walks down the gangway.
But like
and
we said,
then-
he suddenly isn't affected by radiation. We don't
Yes.
know why. He suddenly knows exactly what to do. Like no one. It's not because he learned about science and
he doesn't
engineering.
know that he could do it.
It's just he
Because
just
his
knew.
powers should really only be illusion.
Well, they were
illusion-
originally, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what he says. He's like, I can make fireworks.
And even then, you're like, oh, it's magic now, and then magic turns into telekinesis. It's
Magic
the whole
can be teleporting.
It's the Harry Potter problem of my one now goes.
But then he spaghettifies. He blows up the loom. He
does-
spaghettifies
yes.
everything,
with
and then
with
he
telekinesis maybe.
no with hand powers. And then he threads all the he's grabbing the threads of time and shooting his power
were maybe
through it.
big before, but are now really small.
It changes to him because he controls it. 'cause
Yeah,
he's
then
magic.
he starts walking. But again, he just knows how to do this out of nowhere. Nothing tells him. He just feels it. The music swells. He read the script. He's ready to go.
He's ready to go. And then he starts walking up some invisible stairs.
I'm gonna put swelling music in the background to make it sound more epic. Keep going.
He's
This would have
walk-
read so weird,
he's,
right?
He's grabbing all the. So Tom, you're walking up. You're reaching out your hands. Don't worry, we'll put the threads in. You're reaching out. You're imbuing the threads of time with your magic.
Your costume changes. Don't worry, we'll put that in
Don't
too.
worry, we'll add it in post. You're gonna wear maybe a helmet though. You're walking up. Don't worry, you're gonna walk up some stairs. They're invisible. Don't worry, we'll add it in post. You're gonna walk up.
Take it away in post.
It's a bunch of people in green screen morph suits, and he's like walking on their backs to get up. And he's like, surely we can't just paint some stairs green. And like, no, the PAs will do it. And then he goes and he walks through like a time vagina.
Yeah, where
and
the loom
sits up-
was.
And then he sits at the end of time, maybe?
Yeah, they show the faraway asteroid thing that He Who Remains lived on, and then that gets really close, and it's only a throne now.
And you see that he's kind of
Do you
the
remember when
threads are coming
Renslayer-
from him, but
So-
he's also holding them. But it's like you see like his cloak was the threads.
Yes, but do you remember when Renslayer went to the end of time and like looked at the burnt out corpse, and they're like, "They're gonna make you angry."
Remember when they were like, "You're gonna get angry." You guys were kind of dating.
Well, no, you're gonna get angry. Credits. 1 week later, you were dating.
Yeah, it's like what? And then nothing happened. And then
Which
she
makes
got,
it does feel like reshoots.
yeah.
So it makes me wonder like whether they really were like they were going one way and then they're like Kang might not be coming back, guys.
Yeah.
But I'll talk about that at the end, the implications.
Anyway, so Loki sits down and he puts all the threads together and everything's going magic. Everything's green, lots of green. Timestone green.
Loki green.
Loki is time. You see that he's kind of threaded it all into, it's not threads anymore. They're like roots. Roots of what? back to Norse mythology, baby. It's Yggdrasil.
Yeah, you got me on that one.
Yggdrasil,
Yeah,
maybe.
you got me on that one. You said Yggdrasil early when he's like grabbing a hold of them. You're like,
it's
he's
like
making Yggdrasil.
The thing kind of turns sideways, and you realize it's like.
Yeah, and I was like, is so it's a sideways loom?
And I'm like, oh, okay, it's kind of like on the nose. And then when it cuts to the TVA and whatever they do now, the panel is now, the picture is sideways and it
Growing
looks
together
a lot more
or
like
something.
a
It's a tree, yeah,
It's
like-
a tree. Come on, it's Norse mythology. Loki he lives inside of Yggdrasil and commands everyone's like time and stories and history.
The 9 realms that is now the multiverse, maybe.
But anyway, it's like it's kind of it's weird that it's a nice ending for Loki, for the character himself, but we did a lot of things really quickly to get him there. This would have been nice at the very end of his show,
Like,
of his movies.
Maybe if these 2 seasons were 1 season
I would have loved to see a bit more of him being evil and having a change slowly
instead
into
of
becoming
episode 3. Boom.
and people being like, you have a greater purpose. And he's like, but I'm just the god of mischief.
Well, that's the annoying as shit thing. They had 12 episodes to evolve him, and they did it by episode 3, and then he just stays the same for the rest of it.
Yeah.
Which really does make it feel like they needed to just spread that out. It would have been a more interesting show as well, because then you'd have like a wolf in sheep's clothing Loki always trying to get out, instead of like all he does in the first season for 2 episodes is like try to run away. Like he has the one speech in the circus how he's like trying to trick them, and it's like, that's pretty good, you're manipulating people. But every other time he's just like, someone looks away and he tries to run away, and then they press a button and bring him back, and it's like, that's Loki.
But then after Loki, recreates how time flows for the multiverse, we cut to, the TVA they're back to running, and their job is
Killing Kang variants.
Yeah, finding Kang variants and killing them.
But only them, I guess.
Should they get a choice?
Yeah, just Kang, like, do they only get rid of bad ones? There is a reference to, they say, like, there was one on 616 causing some problems, which was the Ant-Man Kang.
Yeah,
And they're like, but looks like they dealt with him. So I guess they didn't watch the after-credit scene.
Ants.
I guess Mobius didn't stay for the after-credit scene where there were hundreds of thousands of them. But that's the end of the show. Mobius retires, says no one's going to miss an old fart like me, even though
He's been the same age for a billion years.
and he can't go back to see his kids because that timeline was destroyed. But then Mobius, Loki's sitting on his throne, feeling all sad, missing his friends that he met for
But he's
a week and a
also
half.
happy because he gets to watch Mobius.
He's
live his
stolen,
life.
yeah. And Mobius is like, I'm going to go to the timeline, and then Loki can watch him, I guess.
He's like, I'm just going to let time pass, which is nice because he's kind of been like frozen in time forever.
Yeah. So it's like, there's a lot of nice things going on here, but I don't particularly think they earned any of them. They just kind of like skip to them, like, fuck it, I want that resolution. And it's only really Mobius that gets one. Everyone else is kind of just assumed.
Sylvie, she just now kind of like wanders the timeline. So what's the difference between her and season 1 Sylvie?
And Hunter
Nothing.
is still working at the TVA, except now she's saving lives because, again, snap decision,
Except
those
for
are
Kangs.
people. But then what is... Casey and Obi are doing the exact same thing.
They released a new handbook.
Oh, yeah, Obi got to write a second one.
There's like a weird scene.
Victor Timely now is just a candlestick maker forever.
Yeah. It's
So, like, he gets a sad ending.
oh, wait.
It-
Renslayer. She's alive?
Oh, yeah, Renslayer's randomly there with Goliath. What I think they're going to do, TVA now takes care of Kangs. So Kang doesn't actually have to appear in the Marvel Universe anymore. We're going to swap to Doctor Doom or something because, fuck it, why not? I don't even think they're going to use Loki to get us to the future of the
Phase
MCU.
5, 6?
Phase 6. I think it's going to be something completely unrelated because I think the Loki numbers are too far down. But what they will use Loki for is to deal with the Kang variants because worst case for Disney, Jonathan Majors has a bad time and they just cancel everything. They just pretend he never existed.
Yeah. Just don't release Kang Dynasty.
Best case scenario, they do maybe keep him for Phase 6, but I think
Have him in the Fantastic Four movie. Because that's
to
where
carry
he's,
over to Doctor Doom.
yeah,
What
but
I
that's
think-
where he's originally from.
What I think they're going to use him for is a Disney Plus exclusive TV show, The TVA, or Agents of the TVA, and it's an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. thing, and it's just them going after Kang variants. Whether those Kang variants are actually Jonathan Majors or not, we can still have a TV show that just look different, because they proved off the bat Sylvie doesn't have to look like Loki. They can
Yeah.
do whatever they want. They had a crocodile Loki, so they can recast him if they really want to. But that's the TVA's job now. They just go after Kangs. And you've got a procedural show on Disney Plus. Boom. and then you don't have to even think about him in the Marvel Universe. I definitely think they bloated season 1 and 2. Like, we reset the timeline in season 2 like 4 times or some shit. They should have just kept it to like 1 season and spread it out.
So I don't believe that this show is as hot as everyone's talking about. I really
Definitely
don't
not.
understand
I think people
it.
are crazy. Yeah, overall, so many good things in the show, and then way more worse things, and I think it just sapped my enjoyment way too much because of very stupid writery things, despite the fact everyone else is giving it their all.
Yeah.
And I mean, the writer has done like a couple of background things in Community and like two other things. Like, they're entrusting these massive projects to people
Who don't have the accolades to back it up.
Yeah, like
I think
I don't have the accolades to back it up.
I just
but
think the show was trying to be smarter than it ended up being. Like,
That's every show. Yeah.
I know, but it's
Sadly.
like it was annoying with this one because they're like, haha. But then
Infinity.
it's like, okay, you try to call him on something and they're like completely silent.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like,
I think if Loki wasn't in this show, a lot of people would have hated it a lot more.
oh yeah,
I think people are holding on to this idea of the original MCU, and Loki is like the last bastion of that.
yeah,
What I was thinking was we had 3 ways this episode could end. Number 1, this show goes on forever. Loki got offered some money. Hiddleston was like, "Yeah, I'm in it.
Perfect.
Let's just keep pumping out some
time
stuff."
shenanigans for another 10 seasons.
Yeah, why not? Never going to happen. But number 2, he wants out, and they delete him completely. He sacrifices himself and dies because just like every other OG character,
Yeah.
he's fucking done. He's done this for 10 years, and he's out. But actually, no, he's up to 11 years because he's up to like 15 years because he was in Thor 1. Yeah, so man's or 3, they semi get rid of him with the chance of coming back, which is what they did.
Yeah.
Like, they made him an ultimate god, and he can either never appear again, and you can be like, "Oh, Loki, I feel you." The funny thing is, if Loki does show up, he could just fix everything. He
Yes.
controls
but
time.
he's not allowed to touch things. That's his like the rule.
He can.
You know how that really nice scene in Thor Ragnarok where Thor and Loki are sitting there with the ghost of Odin,
Yep.
and he's like, that was like a really nice scene.
Yeah. Well, that was
They-
half of his character development.
And I know it's just going to be them redoing it, but I think they should redo that with Thor and Loki in
Gotta
Thor's
rehash it.
next whatever.
And that's if he
does.
even comes back.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty much done from what I've heard too. The show was always gonna semi-go something like this because Loki the Loki show is kind of dumb and pointless because before we knew Loki, we knew the multiverse and time travel existed because of Infinity War shenanigans.
Yep.
And then we had Loki
Endgame
season 1
shenanigans?
that said, "Oh, there's no multiverse, not at all." And then they introduced the multiverse in the end of the first season as a big, "Oh no." We knew Multiverse of Madness was coming. We knew
Yeah.
a multiverse movie was coming, an entire movie based around it. And then we also knew the next bad guy was Kang. So we knew they couldn't kill Kang. We knew Kang had to have a bunch of variants to be the bad guy. And then Ant-Man Quantumania showed us all of those Kangs. So we knew all of the Kangs were coming. So no matter what they do in season 2, we always knew it had to end with everyone coming. So it's like along the way, the movies have just been like kicking the Loki show in the gut, in the knee, in the testes, but just making it less and less relevant.
Yeah.
And season 1 was meant to have big repercussions, didn't. So they had to scale this season all the way back to not really changing anything. Like, it talks a big game. Loki's now the god of stories, or whatever they want to call him, the god of time. But it doesn't actually change anything in the broader MCU, which isn't a bad thing for like little shows or whatever they want to do. But they were like billing this show as huge, and they talk a big game, but it doesn't fucking matter. And like, yeah, the movies constantly just made the show superfluous.
Yeah, I think there needs to be like a, I don't know if through line is the right word, but they need to sit down. Hey, you guys make the movies, you guys make the TV shows. This needs to be stuck to you can tie some threads.
And that's what they
you have
used
to have
to
a meeting.
do.
You have to have a meeting with Big Kev, and he will approve or disapprove.
I'm very keen for Cosmonaut Marcus, Variety Hour, and every other channel that I respect that apparently loves this show.
Yeah. I'd love
'Cause-
to see what they say and what they actually like about it.
Yes, because
I'm sick of people just
I
saying
apologize.
it's a good show.
I'm sorry, comments, but you're not very good at explaining yourselves. You try your best, but it will be good to see someone actually explain why they like this show, and hopefully they can sway me to like it. I might have swayed you to not like it. I would like to be swayed the other way. I want to enjoy things. Like, I don't want to not like things.
Yeah.
So we'll see where this goes. But I'm going to binge it. I'm going to rewatch it all. And then I'll meet you back here and tell you how I feel next week.
Excellent.
Laters.
Bye.